February the 24th, 2017, 10:10 a.m. Ross J. Sabo, Malaya. It's the third snowfall of the Comox Valley, according to British Columbia, Vancouver Island, as you're seeing outside right now. Not much snow happens at sea level on the west coast usually. Usually it's about 400 feet above sea level. That's Cumberland. And 1,000 feet above sea level is a snow line usually on the way up to Mount Washington, and it's snowing up there because it's the winter ski season on the island, and Whistler Mountain as well, which has fake snow at its sea level within its village. Anyhow, Saskatoon's at about 400 feet above sea level too, same with Regina. Edmonton and Calgary, I think it's about 800 feet above sea level, and Red Deer, Alberta. Well, psychological manipulation and bullying, making somebody go post-traumatic stress syndrome, and acting intent to harm somebody by destruction of property called mischief, causing a disturbance, and insinuation of life, such as psychologically trying to traumatize somebody with reverse psychiatry or manipulation of some sort or another way. Killing by an influence on the mind, that is. Psychologically traumatizing and harming people, called torture. Causing a death by criminal negligence. Capable of homicide is murder as well. Preventing an assault, preventing a death that might be prevented, video evidence. Accessory before or after the fact, knowing that something was going on, or after, and not doing anything about it. False pretenses, false news, false accusations, false statements, meaning you plan to commit fraud and intent to harm somebody with falsehoods. A breach of contract of a public officer or breach of contract of a union agreement, meaning a labor board agreement that these are the laws and regulations on the way we're supposed to be done by, such as all labor in this country is supposed to be within the city or the country. Then the United States, after training those, if you can train them in time, after the United States is Mexico, and after Mexico is international, to allow people to come in and work, taking jobs away from Canadian citizens. To live in a world that people are trying to harm your environment, destroy your properties of your cities, your houses, your country, is an act of terrorism to intend to harm anyone physically, financially, even in the courts of law, to try to change laws so they can be more accepted in society, because they're trying to cause a disturbance and cause harm onto other people in financial difficulties. Spreading of false news is like spreading of false pretenses as well. Having a fake certificate of education or any type of uniform is also a crime. Trafficking of humans means they're not getting a fair wage in society, human rights. A wage that they can raise a family by. Minimum wage is not enough. When in 1972 a truck driver made $10.75 an hour full-time and could raise a family and was never home because his jail cell was his truck, just like going to camp work. 14 days in, 8 days out. It's not a life, that's a jail system. Common nuisances means you're intending to harm somebody too. Just like psychologically assaulting somebody and playing mind games with them all the time, torturing them, so you're manipulating them and intending to harm them, meaning you're bullying them and making fun of them. It's a sad world, hey? Just like manslaughter and everything else under the sun. Manslaughter means murder, kill, assassination, genocide. Redheads and blondes are 1% of the world and should be protected in this world. Not executed in any way, because in 30 years, they say, they'll be extinct. And men are outnumbered 7-1. I've been segregated for 16 years plus in solitude, from forced to live on the street, forced to live in this room because of segregation of lack of money to find adequate housing, to have a better life, to have money so a woman would look at me and have a relationship and have a family. Sterilized, so now I can't have one probably. My own DNA children. When adoption doesn't work because you have to have huge amounts of money to adopt. I don't know, I can babble on forever about the laws and regulations, human rights, laws, and ethics. Family violence has gone too far, and I had enough of acting and bullshit from family who intended to harm you, because we're not slaves for our parents to steal our piggy banks when they tell us if we want something more than what they can provide, like a video game every once in a while as a kid, or a nicer pair of jeans or shoes, because they don't want to buy us the Nike Airs, they want to buy us the Saucony foam shoes because they're just a gimmick, just like the nice pair of basketball shorts, not the skin tight ones, or the nicer pair of glasses that fit and look better, so you can fit into society and be adequate, not have chemicals, administration of nauseous things, drugs and medications put in your food, so you can have freedom of thought and freedom of belief to live in this society as well. Intending to harm you, meaning those people are terrorists to our country and the people because you don't have your freedoms, human rights, 1 to 30, and the Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms of Canada, so you can think and be free in society and have physical fitness, the right to family, the right to self-defense, and everything like that. Our structure of Canada and the school systems have to change. Trades have to start earlier. Music programs have to start earlier and have individual classes throughout. Back to the basics, I guess, eh? Driving school in schools, firearm safeties, physical fitness mandatory, after school self-defense classes for free, swim lessons for free, and 1 hour of a physical education class so everybody has the same basic standards of fitness, so our health care is lower. The negativities of alcohol and drugs eliminated so they don't know about it, so they don't see the negativities of it all the time, or forced onto them so you make them into drug addicts, so a doctor and their faculties have their jobs and medication companies as well. Proper nutrition, because that's the leading cause of health problems as well, and mental illness because there's not enough nutrition. Back to snacks for free for kids in schools, and lunches as well that are nutritional. 5 days a week, so they know they get one meal a day on top of whatever their parents have, rather than a sandwich of peanut butter and jelly or ham sandwich that's gone bad in their locker or in their bag because they don't have an ice pack in there. And water restrictions when we don't have pots to boil in or containers to put the water in. Burning out our stoves and our pots and nothing to store it in. And the city's refusing to hand out bottled water on a water restriction day. Not proving 100% boiling water will take whatever bacteria is away or chemical that might be in the water. Our attempt of the Canadian government telling us how to live our lives in freedom when we can't live by the adequate of fair wages, of minimum wage, and raise a family, own property, and have a house. You dictate on how much money we have, you think we have too much, we can't even have that holiday what the labor board says, 2 weeks per year, full-time labor. To have a root canal once takes up a week's worth of labor. You have 4 people, you have no extra money. You need a new coat because somebody stole it or your TV broke or the flood happened and your bed's wrecked or your kid pissed its bed or the dog wrecked it.
Somebody broke in your house and cut up your sofa and your bed and wrecked everything in your house, and your insurance doesn't cover it because it's just going to go up too. Maybe some premeditated attack to assault you as an act of terrorism in your house to psychologically damage you, like acting as well. What can we say and what can we do? Just like a virus on a computer. Overpriced goods like movies and TVs and books that you buy and then are useless and are worth nothing in a used shop or on eBay as well. It's only a buyer's beware in what you buy and what you want to pay for. A scam, an auction, a scam, a computer electronic device, or a bed that depreciates in value in a second, and it means it's not worth a thing to anyone. Overpriced goods, overpriced housing, a scam in society, so we're always repressed, controlled on how many hours you get, how much money you have in the bank, and everything else. Psychologically harming us in the freedom of this country of Canada. Every trade agreement says all work is to be in this country first, then to another province, if you're in BC, then to the United States, then Mexico, then international. We have to hire Canadians first, train Canadians first, if there's time to do so. We can't have landed immigrants becoming police or military because they're not serving and protecting our country in our best interest. They're coming here and there might be a mercenary, and that's an act of treason and an act of war because they're not Canadian citizens and don't think about our country. They're just coming here for a job, maybe. I don't know, I'm just speaking. We have to hire our Canadians first to protect our country and look after our country. We can't go to their countries and do that kind of stuff. And that's right. Only a grade 12 education only gets you so far in life because you don't have enough money to move on. And like I said, administration of nauseous things to take freedom of thought and belief away, like a psychiatry drug that turns on and off your brain so you can't think or have physical fitness or have your hormones in your body called testosterone if you're a man, like me, because they've assaulted me in intent to harm and in a war against my life. Terrorists to my life and my country right here. That I can't live a life, my individual right, because discrimination of family violence, assaulting their children, and firstborn rights, just like the Queen of England has, and her family in the lines of accession, that the firstborn is protected and has more power in the house than everybody else because they just happen to be the firstborn. They're first and they're maybe a few years ahead of somebody and have a little bit more. But the secondborn is jealous and being a jackass like my brother Shane Lai because he thinks he's better than everybody else because he's a fucking stupid hockey player. And he's not. He's just a stupid secondborn who's being an asshole. Just because he had a daughter doesn't make it a firstborn. It's his firstborn, but not mine. Has no relative to my family line in the line of accession either. The firstborn only comes from the firstborn, just like the Queen of England will tell you and everybody else how firstborn rights work. And firstborns used to be the only ones that went off to churches, join the Roman Empire, and become military and educated human beings. That's just the way it worked. The head of the clan, then they took the heads of the families. Who knows what happened to them? Maybe they all came to North America. But that's the way it goes. And all treaties say the same thing. They're not allowed to drink on and off their reserve. They have to follow the same laws as everyone else. They're allowed to hunt, fish, mine, and all that kind of stuff. But no reserves seem to be set up like that, but a few in the prairies. They all say they're impoverished and harmed, just like the poverty in our cities as well, living on social services. It used to be $5 per family, it says, or $1,500 a year. What is the equivalent to today? Just like the settlers, 160 acres was $10, but they only made 2 cents a day or a month to live by. And today, that 160 acres is worth what? Encyclopedia Canada. All stuff read and saw, just like the laws that I stated. Intending to harm somebody psychologically and physically in society to make them go post-traumatic stress disorder so they can't live in the society. A terrorist to the country and the people because you're intending to harm the people. Canadians are a minority of the world as well. We don't have accents like the rest of the countries, And that's how it works. That's how you tell who's a Canadian and who's not as well. I love my country. I don't feel at home anymore because of this assault by the RCMP and the Canadian government, intending to harm me, listening to a illful mother who wants to assault their children and steal from them their livelihoods, their childhoods, and everything more. Give more to one kid being the second-born and not the firstborn, or one kid over the other, one should say. All hockey, you sit there and watch. That's a little unfair. And when you need a pair of glasses to see at grade 3 and be told, no, you don't need them yet, and don't get them until you're grade 8 and fall behind in school because of that as well. And whatever chemicals they might have put in the food so you can't think clearly. Freedom of thought, freedom of belief. Because I didn't talk it when I was a kid to too many people. Just the way it worked, I guess, eh? This is Ross Jason Boehmly. You take care. Maybe to the next line of bullshit, eh? It's only the truth, what I know. My statement of life.